Newcastle United players impress over the international break, with Joe Linton grabbing the headlines for his debut for Brazil and first international goal. And could we see a handful of Newcastle players pick up new contracts this summer window? Bruno Guimaraes is heavily linked to a new extended bumper contract in the next couple of weeks. And with just 2 weeks to go until the start of pre-season. That's right, the summer break is almost already over. Could we see some old faces that maybe we didn't expect? And could we see some new faces? As it's reported today, Newcastle want to get the deal done for James Maddison ASAP, before the start of pre-season, so he can have a full session with the guys before the season starts. And if we're still in for Szoboszlai, we need to move fast, because it's also understood that his release clause could well be coming to an end. Yes, guys, welcome back to Toon Tuesdays, your weekly roundup of Newcastle United news. Despite the fact there is no football matches on at the moment, there is loads to talk about in the world of Newcastle. If you guys are new to this series, we come back here every Tuesday and talk about all of the week's news. Loads to get into. If you guys watch my video, if you're new, or maybe you watch my videos every day at the moment, but still haven't hit that big red subscribe button, please do. It helps the channel. It helps the channel grow. It helps the reach of the channel. It notifies you guys every time I post a video, and it's free. It costs you guys nothing and really helps. So please hit that big red button. Now then, let's start off with the international break. Great to see Newcastle players in action this weekend. I mean, I've got to say, it is pretty mental, the fact that the season's just ended, they're now in the international break, and they're playing games, and they're back in pre-season in 2 weeks' time. You talk about giving these guys a rest, they've had no rest. But Joe Linton grabbed the headlines. Not only did he get his first senior cap for Brazil, but put the ball in the back of the net as well, didn't he? The Brazil manager came out and said what a difference he's made, both on and off the pitch. I think off the pitch, he's a great guy to be around. It looks that way. You know, he's happy-go-lucky. He's always smiling. I'm sure that was a great ad. And on the pitch, Brazil players are normally known for tricks and skills and flicks. And you've got Joe Linton coming in and kicking everybody all over, which is just brilliant. It brings a new dynamic to his side that the manager seemed very happy with. And not only that, but when he got subbed off in the game, who replaced him? Bruno. Bruno went on the pitch and replaced him, so that was brilliant to see. Also, in terms of England, they were in action on both Friday and Monday night. Callum Wilson got a goal for England on Friday night, the first Newcastle player to score for England since Michael Owen in 2007 or 8. So it's been 16 years since a Newcastle player scored for England. Wow. So yes, very, very happy to see Wilson get the goal. The one on Friday night, the one on Monday night. But it wasn't just the action on the pitch that caught everybody's eye. When Saka scored his third goal for the hat-trick and it went off to the bench, who was standing there? Wilson, Trippier and Maddison all sat together, laughing, smiling, clapping, Saka getting his goal, which was quite nice to see. And to be honest, it's been on social media all over the international break. Wilson and Trippier talking to Maddison. Southgate actually said in his interview, that's what it's like on the international trips. Players will talk to other players. What's it like at your club? What's it like at your club? Effectively acting as ambassadors of the club. Wilson stand there going, come and join us. You've got to think as well, though. I'm sure Harry Kane, well, would he? I was going to say Harry Kane will be there telling Maddison, don't listen to them, come to Spurs. Would he? I don't know if Harry Kane even wants to be at Spurs, so I'm not sure that's the case. But yeah, great to see Wilson in action, getting himself a goal, and also great to see a little bit of Maddison hanging out with a pair of them as well, which we will come on to a little bit later in the video too. And not only are we looking out for the likes of Maddison to see what happens next, but it appears Newcastle are working to make sure we keep players at the club this summer window. Bruno Guimaraes heavily linked to signing a new deal in the coming weeks. It's pretty much been reported since January, maybe even the end of last season, that Bruno would potentially sign a new deal with the club. I've mentioned this a few times. I think he deserves it. He's been fantastic. He's been a huge part of the rebuild of Newcastle United. You know, when he came in, we were nigh on bottom of the league. And now he's taken us to Champions League football. So not only is he that good, he deserves it, but it's a bit of protection for us as well. There's links to him going to Barcelona and Real Madrid, and it's not happening. Like, it's not. Why would he get top 4 and then leave? But for a South American lad who grew up watching Spanish football, you can understand why he may be tempted in a couple of years' time, which is why we give him an extra long deal now, so when it does come to it, it's because if we do nothing, in 3 years' time, Bruno goes, oh, actually, I'll just head off on my way, you know? If he doesn't sign a deal for a year, 2 years, and he goes, well, I'll just sit this year out and go for free. No, Bruno. We are putting you on a 7-year deal, so you can either spend your career with us, which I would also love to see, or if you do go, we get that 100 million for you. And it's understood Newcastle are looking to do this with a bunch of players. Joe Linton is also linked to a new deal. We saw Dan Burn get a 1-year extension. We saw Richie get an extension. We saw Paul Dummett get offered a new contract. Still waiting to hear on that. We saw Karius get offered a new contract. Still waiting to hear on that. So there's already stuff going on there. But it's thought they're also going to look at the likes of Bruno, Joe Linton, Trippier as well. Get an extra year on Trippier's contract too. So we'll wait and hear on that one. But I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's deserved. And I think that it's putting a bit of safety around our players as well. And as exciting as it is to talk about players we want to keep and bring in this summer, we also need to talk about players who we should probably try and move on this summer window. As I've said, 2 weeks to go until the start of pre-season, and there's a few players you may well have forgot about who look like they will be turning up for training in 2 weeks' time. One of which is Isaac Hayden, Jeff Hendrick, the pair of them who really looked like they'd played their final game for Newcastle. It sounds like Eddie Howe wants everybody back in for the return and the start of pre-season, which actually I agree with. We could just go, you know what, guys, just don't come back. Go and sit at home and play on your Xbox. No, I think he's doing the right thing by getting everybody back in. I don't know if that necessarily means that Isaac's going to get a second chance. You let me know down below if you think Isaac does deserve a second chance. I was reading earlier that he's still got 3 years left on his deal, which I wasn't aware of. Hendrick is reported to have just 1 year left, but then you're also looking at Darlow. It's expected that he will return for pre-season training despite his links over with Hull. And then you look at the likes of Fraser. Is he going to be back in the squad, or is he just going to start off with the under-21? So I don't want us to spend loads of time on players that I think really are likely to move on this summer, but to have everybody in for the start of pre-season, have a big look around and decide what we're going to do with who, I think that's a bad idea. You let me know down below whether you think Isaac Hayden deserves a second chance or whether we'll move him on. The idea was that he went on loan to Norwich for a season and then he stayed there. But because of his injury, they haven't taken him, and now he's come back to us. Hendrick was obviously linked with a more permanent move to Reading, which I think has fallen through, which means he will actually be back for a final season at St James's Park. And then, as I say, Fraser, Lewis, Darlow, you know, what's happening with those guys. So it'll be interesting to see what players are spotted on the first day of pre-season and how quickly Eddie Howe acts to kind of split the group up and go, okay, you've had, what is a week too long? 2-3 days, right? Now we need to get the squad going, and you guys need to get out there and go and find out what you're going to do next. And in terms of players coming in, well, there's been quite a lot of talk in the last couple of days of what is happening with Newcastle, but some of the big news coming out today that Fabrizio Romano is reporting, Newcastle want to move fast on getting James Maddison into the club before the start of pre-season. And this is something we've spoken about a little while now. James Maddison has been linked for a while. You know, I'm going to try and not go over too much old ground, but one thing that we've said for a while is that Leicester know what they want for Maddison and Newcastle know what they want to pay for Maddison. And right now, those two fees don't seem to be stacking up the way we quite want. What also doesn't help is that Spurs, they are trying to offer more. We are offering Eddie Howe, a coach who develops players, has proven how much he's added to Joe Linton's game is the obvious one, but Almiron, I would even go as Callum Wilson's had one of the best seasons of his career at St James's Park. That has to be noted. And James Maddison having conversations with Wilson, what's the manager like? Well, he's just given us the best season of my life. And he's given us Champions League football. Okay, you know, so that's massive positive for us. Because Spurs don't have that, they're offering above the odds. And the thing is, even if Maddison's going to Leicester, I want to go, Leicester are going, well, actually, Spurs are paying that much more. So we want you to go to Spurs. So it's creating this potential saga that could go on all season because Leicester want this much, Newcastle want to pay that much. What's the difference? And do you just pay it? Is it worth paying 5 or 10 million more to have Maddison in through the door day one with the squad, full pre-season training? He's at Glasgow for the friendly against Rangers. He's at Gateshead for the friendly there. He's in America for the pre-season camp. He's had 2 months with the lads and we hit the ground running. Or do we try and save 5, 10, 15 million? And that's the thing, we're being careful. It's FFP. We don't want to overspend. But doing so means that we could well be looking at signing Maddison on the 31st of August when Leicester finally give up and go, right, Maddison he's not going to Spurs, even though they're offering more money. He doesn't want to go there. So he's dug his heels in, he's not going there, fine. We'll just sell him to Newcastle for that fee instead. And I think that seems to be the direction it's going in, unless the two clubs can just get it done. I mean, the thing for Leicester as well is that they need the money. They need a rebuild. They've let go of about 5, 6, 7 players on freeze this window. The money that earlier they bring in the cash from Maddison, the quicker they can start on the rebuild. So that's the thing. Although it is lining up to be a bit of an ongoing slog to get this done, Leicester will want to get it done as well because they also want the cash so that they can go out and have a summer window too. So yes, big links and reports coming out to say that Newcastle want this done and dusted as quick as possible, and hopefully that will be the case. And if it wasn't Maddison, another big link is Szoboszlai. He's a player who has caught a lot of people's attention, not just Newcastle United. Clubs all over Europe are interested in this guy. He's already the captain of his home country, Hungary, and he's ripping it up for Red Bull Leipzig at the moment. Another midfielder who Newcastle appear to be very, very interested in. But if Newcastle did want to go for him, will they have to move quickly? Now, a lot of the talk around Szoboszlai has been that he has a release clause. I think it's 70 million euros, so around 70 million euros, so 60 million pounds. So the disparity between him and Maddison isn't too much difference, but it's thought that release clause was meant to last all summer window. It's now being reported today that it only actually lasts until the 30th of June. So we've got two situations now. We've got one where we want to get Maddison done ASAP so that he can be part of pre-season, and slightly more action needed on the Szoboszlai one, because if we don't, it's not if we want to have him in early, it's if potentially we want to have him at all, we need to really move before the end of June. The 30th of June is when the release clause is actually expected to end. Now, it's a similar situation with Maddison. Could we go in and go, right, 60 million? I would have rather paid less than that, but if we don't go and snap him up before the release clause ends, could we have a full Szoboszlai saga where it's now, we didn't go in for the release clause, we've missed it now we're going to spend all summer window talking about the price of him as well. You let me know your thoughts on that one down below, because again, 60 million, it's a big fee. What would we prefer to pay? 45, 50, 55? Surely it's worth just going, right, screw it. Here's the Maddison money. Here's the Szoboszlai money. Before the 30th of June, we've got 2 elite players joining us from the start of pre-season. You know, how much cheaper would we actually get them for if we tried to battle them down for the whole of the summer window? If the answer is 30, 40 million, then Christ, yes, it's worth putting in the effort to get the better deal. But if the answer is, I'll probably save 5 million on Maddison, maybe 5 million on Szoboszlai, it's 10 million and it's a lot of money, and I'm saying like it's change. It is change to the Newcastle owners, but it's not change to FFP. You know, the FFP driving everybody mad. Let me know your thoughts on that one down below. Would you rather go in up front, get them done? The reports today are that we are very keen to do so. Or do you think it's worth playing our cards slightly closer to our chest and trying to get them for probably what they're worth and not being overpaid? And I think the Newcastle owners are sensible about that. I think they will spend money when they think it's right. I think with Isak, look, we blew the bank on Isak, but even then they wanted more originally, and we waited and we got him at a price that we believed was right. And look, if Isak has the season he had this season without any injuries or anything next season, he's double the price for me. If he can go and have a season like he did this season but without missing any games, yeah, I think Haaland's wrapping it up with a few goals. But I tell you what, I don't think he'll be too far off being one of the highest scorers in the Premier League next season if you can have an injury-free season. So yes, let me know your thoughts down below on new contracts going out to players, potential players returning who maybe we thought we'd never see again. Is there a chance for any second chances? And what are we saying on Maddison and Szoboszlai? Do Newcastle move fast and pay the money? Or do we bide our time and try and get it right? Should we get them both or one or the other? You let me know down below. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, drop a like, subscribe. As I've mentioned, if you haven't hit that big red button and you're still watching 15 minutes later, be sure to do so. Loads of content at the minute. Loving every second of it. Cannot wait to hopefully bring an announcement for one of those two players very soon. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.